I got banned from a $200 million stadium for saving 24 people from being trampled. The head of security called me an irresponsible liability. I was working security at Mid-State Noni's biggest concert of the year, Taylor Hawkins tribute show. My third year on the job, and I'd worked everything from metal shows to monster truck rallies. This should have been routine. That night, they'd oversold the floor section by at least 30%. The crowd was packed shoulder to shoulder, and the temperature inside hit 95 degrees before the opening act even finished. Red flags everywhere, but management kept saying it was under control. I was stationed at the northeast corner of the floor section where a narrow service corridor led to a maintenance area. The corridor had double doors with panic bars, but a big emergency exit only, A or Will Reyes sign on them. Halfway through the second act, the crowd shifted hard after someone fainted near the front. What followed was a chain reaction of pushing, shoving, and growing panic. People started getting crushed against the barricade in my section. A girl, maybe 16, was gasping for air while being pressed against the metal rail. I radioed for backup, but our channel was chaos. No response. A second girl collapsed. Then a guy went down. Within seconds, I had about 20 people desperately pressed against the barricade, faces turning red, some screaming for help. I made a split-second decision. I unlocked the service corridor doors and started pulling people through. The crowd surged toward the opening, and I had to physically control the flow to prevent a stampede. I got about 24 people into the corridor, including 3 who needed immediate medical attention. The moment I got the situation stabilized, my radio exploded with voices. My supervisor arrived, saw the open doors, and went ballistic. "WXT wathered this," he shouted over the music. I told him people were getting crushed. "That's what the medical team is for. These doors set off alarms in the main security office. You've caused a security breach." The next day, I was called to a meeting with the venue director and head of security. They had footage of the whole incident. Instead of acknowledging the dangerous overcrowding, they focused entirely on my violation of emergency exit protocols. "You created potential for a stampede. You compromised venue security. You didn't follow chain of command," the director said, looking at his notes rather than at me. "People were literally being crushed," I replied. A girl passed out in front of me. The head of security leaned forward. "This isn't about whether people were uncomfortable. It's about protocols. What if everyone decided to open emergency exits whenever they felt like it?" I was fired and banned from the venue for life. 2 weeks later, a friend still working there sent me an internal memo. They'd revised their crowd management protocols to include emergency decompression procedures for overcrowded sections. Essentially exactly what I'd done. They implemented my solution and banned me for using it. The kicker: the memo credited the new procedure to the head of security, who fired me.